शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सादं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपा नमः विष्णुपाद नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य वेशनी हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपति गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी हरे प्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. So welcome to the Isopanisad bhaktisashtri course. We had a short break. Last 2 weeks we could not have the classes. Sorry for that. So we have up till now discussed mantra 6. So today we will begin with mantra 7. Let's recite mantra 7. Yasmin sarva sparks. Atma eva Vijanata. Janata means knower. Vijanata means Vishesh Rupena Janata. He becomes the true knower. That's why true is an adjective added to knower. True knower. Oh, voice is breaking, huh? Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji. The audio is breaking.
Yes, Prabhuji, yeah. Video is also
Oh,
freezing.
okay, let me try another connection. Let us see. It would have not happened because today morning we discussed Manashiksha and there was no complaint.
Now it is good.
Now it is better?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's breaking, yeah.
Oh, the signal is going back and forth down. That's why that is the reason I feel. I just changed the net connection. Let us see.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah. Janata means to know, and Visheshupena Janata, Vijanata. It's a prefix which is added. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? Tatra Shok. Koha moha. Here is continuing from a Atmanevanu Pashati Sarvabhuteshu Chatmana Tato na Vijuksupate. So same that same person who sees all living beings, that same person is being discussed here in mantra 7 also. Again, I just a little go back to the overview in this section. What is from mantra 4 to mantra 8. And we had seen that, if you remember, that I have to know the Ishwar, and the Ishwar can be understood by spiritual vision. So mantra includes the inconceivable attributes of the Ishwar were discussed. Now, mantra 6 and 7 first develop spiritual vision by seeing worldly things, events, and people with equanimity. So this is what we have been discussing. And when we develop spiritual vision to the things of this world, that same spiritual vision, when it is directed to the Lord, helps us to understand Ishwar. That will be dealt in mantra 8. So today we were discussing mantra 7. I hope it is clear. So now let's come to the themes in the paragraphs of mantra 7. So here, this anupashyata, and especially ekat,
Your voice
and
is breaking.
ekatam is a feast.
Yes, yes,
Voice is
Prabhuji.
breaking.
You can try it maybe without video.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, now
Yeah, now we can try, Prabhuji. Better.
uh, no, ekatam is a feast for the Gyanis. So Prabhupada in paragraph 1 speaks of oneness between energy and energetic. And he gives example of fire. We will elaborate this example, go into more detail of Jiva Goswami's example, what he gives in the Sandarbhas. And he speaks of oneness is in quality and separate interests cause shoka and moha. Oh, still the voice is breaking, huh? Mhm. Still the voice is breaking. So what I was saying is mm, the themes. Paragraph 1 speaks of oneness between energy and energetic, oneness in quality, not in quantity, drop and ocean, oneness in interest, brings family enjoyment, and then separate interests cause shok and mocha. And ultimately, Prabhupada concludes, become one in interest with God. That is paragraph 5 and 6. Now, before we go into the paragraph themes, let us go to the concept of ekatvam. And here I have So this comes in the Bhagavad Gita 6:31. Sarva bhuta stitam yoma bhajat ekatvamasthita sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Such a yogi, sahayogi, who engages in the worshipable service, bhajatte, bhajan is there, service of the super soul. Sarva bhuta stitam yoma. Sarva bhutastha. I am situated in all living beings. That is me only. But in my form as Paramatma. Knowing that I and the super soul within all creatures are one. Ekatvam astita. So here the word ekatvam, the term ekatvam, is not that I, the soul and the super soul are one. It is I as Bhagavan and the super soul residing in all living beings are one. Remains always in me. Mai vartate in all circumstances. Sarvata vartamano pi. So you can see the term ekatva will have different meanings based on the context. So let us see in the Bhagavad Gita, what does Prabhupada, how does Prabhupada translate this ekatvam as? सर्वभूतस्तात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि वीक्षते योग सर्वत्र समदर्शन. Ekatvam in oneness. So in oneness means that I and the super soul are one. So that is what is the meaning here in this particular context. So let us now go into this concept of ekatvam, understand the meaning of the term ekatvam. The Isopanishads advises ekatvam anupashyata. A devotee should see the Supreme Personality Godhead to be situated in everyone's heart and should also see every living entity as an eternal servant of the Lord. So this is the real meaning of ekatvam. This vision is called ekatvam oneness. Although there is a relationship of the master and servant, both master and servant are one because of their spiritual identity. This is also ekatvam. So you can see there are different levels and conceptions of the understanding of the term ekatvam. So here Prabhupada is speaking at a different level of a devotee who sees that the Supreme Lord, Mam, is situated in everyone's heart, Sarva Bhutastam. And he also sees the Atma. And the Atma is what? The eternal servant of the Lord. So that vision Prabhupada calls as ekatvam. And there is a relationship of the master and the servant, but they are one in identity. One is spiritual because both are conscious beings. So that is ekatvam. Thus, the conception of ekatvam for the Vaishnava is different from that of the Mayavadi. So this is from Prabhupada's purport 7.5.12. Those who are not thoroughly Krishna conscious distinguish between material and spiritual. But when you are fully Krishna conscious, you see the oneness of everything. Ekatvam anupashyati. Isopanisad Mantra 7. This means that you see how everything is related to Krishna. So here now, this ekatvam anupashyati we will take as the last theme, and I'll explain this in the chart. Let it become more clear. So seeing the energy as non-different from the energetic, and seeing everything in relationship to Krishna. Further, these all spiritual sparks in quality one with the Lord becomes a true knower of things. Vijanata. What is there as illusion or anxiety for him? This realization is Krishna consciousness. There are different kinds of realization, but ekatvam, a qualitative oneness, is always there. So this ekatvam is focusing on qualitative oneness, whereas the Mayavadis focus on I and God are one. The Brahmavadi impersonalists, they think that we are 100% one with Lord or the Supreme Absolute Truth, but that is not a fact. If one is 10% one with the Supreme Lord, then how he has come under the control of Maya? This question they cannot answer. So this the Mayavadis cannot answer. So that ekatvam anupashyata in this verse, ekatvam, that qualitative one, not quantitatively. You are one with God qualitatively. You cannot be equal with God quantitatively. That ekatvam is stressed herein. So Prabhupada, I think in one of the lectures, is speaking this. So Prabhupada in paragraph 2 is dealing that we are one in quality, not in quantity, and he's giving the ocean and the drop of the ocean, explanation. Now in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is composed by Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami has given a commentary on that, which is called as the Durgama Sangamani Tika. Durgama means difficult. Sangamani means resolving. So resolving the difficult. That is the name of the commentary of Jiva Goswami. So there Jiva Goswami in his commentary mentions how Gyan and Vairagya are not the limbs of Bhakti. There is a verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then Gyan refers to what? Gyan refers to Atma Gyan. And then Ishwar Gyan. Ishwar Gyan means, there is Brahma Upasana. So Atma Gyan and Ishwar Gyan, the all-pervading Brahman. Atma is here the self, and the all-pervading, that is Brahman, ultimately leads to Ekatva. Ekatva Gyan, becoming one. So this is, the Gyan. And this Gyan is very much pratikul to Bhakti. This is very much pratikul to Bhakti. But the Gyan, which is Bhagavat Sambandha Gyan, that is anukul to Bhakti, and we should, like the limbs of Bhakti, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, these Bhakti Shastri literatures, these are also knowledge, but these are knowledge which lead to devotion. That is favorable to pure devotional service. But this Atma Gyan, Ishwar Gyan, which leads to Aikatva, this is pratikul to Bhakti. This is unfavorable to devotion. And why it is pratikul? There are three reasons why Gyan is pratikul to Bhakti. The aspect of Gyan in constitution, oneness denies eternality of Bhakti. If I and God are one, where is the question of Bhakt and Bhagwan and Bhakti? In application, because by Gyan Sadhana, there is the hardening of the heart. Whereas Bhakti means the heart becomes soft like butter. And in designation or ultimate destination, there is merging, where there is the end of Bhakti. So that is why this Gyan is pratikul to Bhakti. Okay, so this is regarding some of the concepts. Now let us go to paragraph 1 of the purport. The paragraph 1, as I mentioned, speaks about oneness between energy and energetic, and the example is of fire. So paragraph 1, who will read? Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji, you can read.
Yes, Prabhuji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Except for the Madhyama Adhikari and Uttama Adhikari discussed above, no one can correctly see the spiritual position of a living being. The living entities are qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord, just as the sparks of a fire are qualitatively one with the fire. Yet the sparks are not the fire as far as the quantity is concerned. For the quantity of heat and the light present in the sparks is not equal to that in the fire. The Mahabhagavata, the great devotee, sees oneness in the sense that he sees everything as the energy of the Supreme Lord. Since there is no difference between the energy and the energetic, there is the sense of oneness. Although from the analytical point of view, heat and light are different from fire. There is no meaning to the word fire without heat and light. In synthesis, therefore, heat and light and fire are the same.
Yes. So Prabhupada is continuing his purport from the previous mantra, because if you remember, this vision is of a Mahabhagavat. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam. So this, the Uttamadhikari, the Madhyamadhikari, and the Kanishadhikari were discussed in the last class, if you remember. And then the term Anupashyati. So here Prabhupada is continuing the purport and mentions that the Madhyamadhikari and the Uttamadhikari can only actually see the spiritual position of the living entity. And the living entity and the Lord are one. Just like spark of fire and fire are one, but qualitatively they are one, quantitatively they are not one. But there is oneness in the sense that there is energy and the energetic. Energy is the spark, energetic is the fire. So there is no difference. Shakti, Shaktimana, Abheda. And Prabhupada uses this term. From the analytical point of view, heat and light are different from fire. And because, we know that it is different. The amount of heat you can experience when you're near fire is different from the amount of heat you experience when you're only experiencing the heat which is emanating from the fire. When you're near the fire, the heat is quite different. So like that, there is difference. At the same time, there is oneness. So there is synthesis and analysis. Not yesterday, the last week class, we had discussed this synthesis and analysis. So here, let us now go into the purport. Sorry, not the purport in the slides. Let us discuss this oneness which Prabhupada. Oh, yeah. So Bhagavan and his Shakti, fire and light is given. Fire and fire burns. We mentioned, if you remember, in the first class only, in Mantra 1 discussion, or I don't remember, Mantra 1 or Mantra 4, I think it is. So burning is the property of fire. So fire and burn, they look like very same terms, but they are different. But they are same also. So Prabhupada is giving the example of fire and light. Jeev Goswami in the Sandarbhas goes into a lot of detail and gives the example of the sun. So we know that we use this example of sun for explaining the Brahman aspect, the Paramatma aspect, and the Bhagavan aspect. The Bhagavan is the sun god within the sun. And then there is the sun, which is like the Paramatma, and the sun rays all pervading, that is the Brahman aspect. But Jeev Goswami analyzes this not from the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan aspect, but in terms of the gradations of the energies of the sun. So there he explains that the sun god is Krishna. And the fiery radiance around its orb, around the sun orb, there is a radiance which is very, very fiery. That he compares to the Sarup Shakti or the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord. There is the Antaranga Shakti, there is the Bhairanga Shakti, and the Tatastha Shakti. And the rays of the sun, also there is immense heat. That is compared to the Jivas, the Tatastha Shakti. And the sun's reflection, which falls, sun's reflection can fall on the water. So the water also gets heated. In the summer, the water is warm. You can see that. So the sun's reflection is compared to the Bhairanga Shakti. Now here in this example of Bhagavan and his Shakti, we saw it as different. So here, Jeev Goswami's example gives the gradation of difference in the energy and the energetic. So the energy around sun, God, where, Vivaswan is situated, and in his heart, there is a Surya Narayan, Bhagwan. So that energy is, Sakshat Krishna. And around him, that is in the spiritual world, there is the Antaranga Shakti, of the Sarup Shakti of the Lord. And the rays don't have that kind of energy what is there around the orb. So that is compared to the Tatastha Shakti. And the sun's reflection, which is like the rays falling on the water, I can say, on a water body or a lake, that is the Bhairanga Shakti. So here there is a gradation. You can see that all these energies are not at the same level, and there is a gradation. So there is oneness from a synthetic point of view, and from an analytical point of view, there is gradation. So energy and energetic are non-different. So that's what Prabhupada explains in paragraph 1. Okay, so let's go to paragraph 2. Paragraph 2. Who would like to volunteer to read? Anna Lakshmi Mataji. Yes. I've unmuted you.
In this mantra, the words ekatvam and anupashyataha indicate that one should see the unity of all living entities from the viewpoint of the revealed scriptures. The individual sparks of the supreme whole, the Lord, possesses almost 80% of the known qualities of the whole, but they are not quantitatively equal to the supreme Lord. These qualities are present in minute quantity, for the living entity is but a minute part and parcel of the supreme whole. To use another example, the quantity of salt present in the drop of seawater is never comparable to the quantity of salt present in the complete ocean. But the salt present in the drop is qualitatively equal in chemical composition to all the salt present in the ocean. If the individual living being were equal to the Supreme Lord, both qualitatively and quantitatively, there would be no question of his being under the influence of material energy. In the previous mantras, it has already been discussed that no living being, not even the powerful demigods, can surpass the Supreme Being in any respect. Therefore, Ekatvam does not mean that a living being is equal to the Supreme Lord in all respects. It does, however, indicate that in the broader sense, there is one interest. Just as in a family, the interest of all members is one, or in a nation, the national interest is one, although there are many different individual citizens. Since the living entities are all members of the same supreme family, their interest and that of the supreme being are not different. Every living being is the son of the supreme being. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.5 to 6, all living creatures throughout the universe, including birds, reptiles, ants, aquatics, trees, and so on, are emanations of the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all of them belong to the family of Supreme Being. There is no clash of interest.
So in this paragraph, Prabhupada speaks about this theme, that is, oneness is in quality, not quantity. And he's giving the example of the drop in the ocean. Chemically, the drop and the ocean are same, but the quantity of salt in the drop can never be equal to the quantity of salt present in the ocean. So that proper makes it very, very, it makes it clear. This context, this very important concept. Realizing our oneness in quality with God brings detachment. Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. I am spirit soul. I am spiritual. I don't have anything to do with this matter. So this realization of Aham Brahmasmi brings about detachment from matter. But subordination in quantity to God brings humility. It brings on humility. So that's why the Jnanis in the Jnana path, that path is the path of detachment from matter. And it is seen that because of detachment, can become proud. And that's why in the 13th chapter, 8 to 12 verses, where the angas, the limbs of Gyan sadhana given, amanitvam, adhamvitvam. One can easily become proud. Oh, these materialists, they are on the bodily platform enjoying sense gratification. And we are superior because we are situated in the spiritual platform and we are not engaged in material activities. So, because they have this detachment, pride can easily come in. And that's why uh, the Gyan sadhana is also not an easy path. The path of devotion, one understands Jivera Swarup hoy Krishnera Nityadas. That I am minute part and parcel of the supreme whole. And this kind of understanding of quantitative difference naturally brings in humility. And if you see the Shikshashtakam, first humility comes in. Trunadapi sunichena, tarorapi saishunam, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. And then, with humility dawning in the heart, then there is detachment. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kame. Whereas in the path of Gyan, there is first detachment. And because there is no subordination, because if you think, oh, you are one with God, where is the question of humility? So that's why that path is also, the path of Gyan sadhana is also not an easy path. Klesho adirkarastesham avyakta asakta chetasam. Whereas the path of bhakti is more protected because of subordination in quantity to God, which brings in natural humility. That I am very tiny and the Lord is, infinitesimal. Infinite, sorry, I am infinitesimal and the Lord is infinite. That brings on humility. So that's one important point which I had to discuss from the second paragraph. Okay, any questions anyone has? Clarifications until now? Okay, Priya Mataji has a question. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yes, we talked about quality and quantity, like being humble. And suppose that kind of behavior we do at home or outside, but everyone around us are not in sync with what we are doing. So how do we behave in such a situation?
Can you
Just
come
a
again?
like we talked about quality and quantity right now, wherein you said with the oneness in quality brings detachment and oneness in quantity brings humility, right? So my question was just a normal query. If we are with someone outside or at home and we are observing that type of a behavior where we are humble and also detached, but the person in front is not in sync or incompatible with what we are doing. So how do we behave in such a situation? I mean, they should not misinterpret what we are doing, like.
Basically, this humility which comes in understanding the uh, greatness of the Lord and how minute I am, it is in the self-realized state. So we are practicing humility because of understanding of the philosophy, not at a realized state. This is first. So when this natural humility dawns at the self-realized state, one important aspect about humility is tolerance. So the more humble we are, greater degree of tolerance. So we can others, because of our natural humility, and that is the highest, preaching in one sense. So, we are, actually living the philosophy. So when we are living the philosophy, and though others might mistreat us, others might, not understand us of that. And that's why we are able to continue to chant Kirtaniya Sadahari. But when we don't have this humility at the self-realized state, and we are trying to act humble because we understand the philosophy, but when others mistreat us or others misbehave with us, we become disturbed. So that's why we have to that time, do things what is practical so that we can continue with our devotional practices, and do things which are favorable for our cultivation of devotional service, and avoid which are unfavorable for the cultivation of devotional service. That's the general rule we have to use. Okay, I hope it is clear. Let's go to paragraph 3 now. Paragraph 3 is very interesting. Prabhupada speaks in paragraph 3 about, oneness in interest brings enjoyment. Example, family, relation, and nation. And example, that is the Ras Leela. So we'll go through paragraph 3 now. Who will read paragraph 3? Any volunteers? Yes, Sri Valli Mataji. Yes,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
yes.
The spiritual entities are meant for enjoyment, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12, Anandamayo Abhyasat. By nature and constitution, every living being, including the Supreme Soul, and each of his parts and parcels is meant for eternal enjoyment. The living beings who are engaged in the material tabernacle are constantly seeking enjoyment, but they are seeking it on the wrong platform. Apart from the material platform is the spiritual platform, where the Supreme Being enjoys himself with his innumerable associates. On that platform, there is no trace of material qualities, and therefore, that platform is called Nirgun. On the Nirguna platform, there is never a clash over the object of enjoyment. Here in the material world, there is always a clash between different individual beings because here the proper center of enjoyment is missed. The real center of enjoyment is the Supreme Lord, who is the center of the sublime and spiritual rasa dance. We are all meant to join him and enjoy life with one transcendental interest and without any clash. That is the highest platform of spiritual interest. And as soon as one realizes this perfect form of oneness, there can be no question of illusion, moha, or lamentation, shoka.
Yeah. So now in the third paragraph, Prabhupada, if you see the first paragraph, he speaks about the oneness in terms of seeing energy and energetic. And he gives the example of fire and heat. Then he speaks about ekatvam in terms of oneness in quality and not in quantity. And he gives the example of the drop of ocean water and the entire ocean. Now he's oneness in interest. And he gives this example of the rasas. The oneness is that the spiritual sparks are seeking enjoyment. That is, that is the nature and the constitution of the living being. Anando mayobhyasyat. And this is also the nature of the Lord. But now the jiva is seeking enjoyment in matter, in the wrong platform. And on the spiritual platform, the Supreme enjoys with his innumerable associates, the jivas, the nitya muktas. And this enjoyment is completely on the transcendental platform, because all the eternal associates of the Lord, their object of love is the Supreme Lord, and they want to give happiness to the Supreme Lord, and thereby also they become automatically happy. And Prabhupada is giving the example of the rasa dance here. And this is the highest level of ekatvam, one interest with the Lord. And then when this position, there is no shoka and moha. So here in this context, let us discuss a little bit about this aspect which we have seen this fire burns, about see the full picture of oneness, the rasa dance. So, this theme of unity and diversity is very, very famous today in the modern world. But there is also diversity in unity. There is also diversity in unity. So all the gopis, have love for Krishna, and all participate in giving enjoyment to the Krishna. So they are united in their love for Krishna. But there is also diversity in that unity. That unity is that everyone loves Krishna, but the diversity is that every gopi also has, exhibits a unique love which he has for Krishna. And that's why Krishna expands himself in unlimited forms to reciprocate each and every gopi's unique love. And that's why you see Krishna, when he's dancing, according to the mood of the gopi, Krishna is also exhibiting his dance. So there is unity in diversity, but also diversity in unicity. Diversity in unity. And we see this, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the 10th canto, which is compared to the beautiful face of the Lord. And the smile of the Lord is compared to the Ras Panchadhyaya. And within the Ras Panchadhyaya is the Gopi Geet, where all the gopis are feeling separation from Krishna when Krishna left the Ras Leela. And Sukdev Goswami begins by stating Gopya Uchu, the gopis sung. So it's not that all these verses, the 19 verses of the Gopi Geet, Jivanam, it's not that all the gopis sang together. But Jiva Goswami, in his Gopal Champu and Anand Vrindavan Champu, Kavi Karanpur, they specifically point out that which are the verses each of these gopis spoke. Which are the verses? So Tava Katamrita Tapta Jivan maybe was spoken by Lalita Saki or Vishaka Saki, and some other Chandravali, not Chandravali, Tungavidya or Induleka or Champaklata. So all these gopis are expressing their separation, what they are feeling in the song, and each are individuals. So there is, all are united in their love for Krishna, but each one has its unique individual way in which they are expressing their separation. So that's how, there is unity in diversity and diversity in unity. Just like, in a orchestra, there are many musicians who all sit together and each are playing their instruments. And, there is the violin and then there is a piano. So all together, it creates a symphony. That entire music creates a symphony. It looks like one, but each of the participants, the musicians, are playing their own instruments and exhibiting their skill. Way, every individual has its unique way in which he can express his love for Krishna. And there is unity in the sense that, everyone is united in their love for Krishna in that sense. So this is in the highest platform. In the material realm, there is unity in terms of, that every living being is a spirit soul. But there is diversity. There are Brahmanas, there are Kshatriyas, there are Vaishyas and Shudras. So there is division on the material platform. But on the spiritual platform, there is unity. There is unity. Everyone is a spirit soul. So that cannot be, cannot be denied. That unity is there on the spiritual platform. And even in the spiritual realm, there is diversity in the material realm in the form of Brahmana, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. But on the spiritual platform, there is unity. In the spiritual world, there is unity in the form of all the gopis love Krishna, but there is diversity also in the way each of the gopi expresses a unique love for Krishna. So that's the point. Okay. Any questions on this? Unity and diversity? Okay, one hand has been raised. Sri Valli Mataji, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, can you please explain why Nirguna is being used here?
Yes, the term Nirguna means it's on the transcendental platform, on the spiritual platform. Nirguna means no material qualities on the spiritual platform. That's how the term has been used here.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Any other questions? Okay. Now, as I was mentioning, this term Ekatvam is a feast for the Mayavadis. And the Mayavadis often use the river metaphor to explain how the individual becomes one with the Supreme and merges in the impersonal Brahman and becomes, the all-pervading Brahman. I'm also that Brahman, I'm God, So they use this river ocean metaphor. So I would like to discuss a little bit from a devotional perspective that the ocean river metaphor can not only refer to merging, but to meeting. So let us go through the slides for this. So the river ocean metaphor is not merging, and we need to consider the flow aspect. So there are two verses in the Bhagavatam. One is in the Kapil Shiksha, that is from the Lord's perspective, and one is in the Kunti Manani's prayers, that is the devotee's perspective. So let us see this and try to understand that it's not just merging, but it can also mean meeting. And there is a flow aspect to be considered here. There's no oneness in terms of I become one with the absolute truth, but there is a flow aspect. And what is that flow aspect? Let us discuss. So this is from the Kapil Shiksha. Lord Kapil Dev is speaking. Madguna Shruti Matrena Man Sarva Gupashe Manor Gatir Avichinna Yata Gangam Buddho. Because the mind, mana, by hearing about my qualities, Mad Guna Shruti Matrena, flows continuously, Gati Avichinna. Chinna means, break. Avichinna means without any break, continuously. So the mind flows to me, the Supreme Lord residing in the heart of all people. Sarva Guhashya. And the analogy here, just as the Ganga flows to the ocean. Yatha Gangamboso Ambudo. Just like the water of the Ganga flows towards the ocean and the flow is continuous. So similarly, the mind of such pure devotees continuously flows towards the Lord. So here the flow aspect has been emphasized and not the merging aspect, here. It's the meeting of the Lord and the Supreme Lord. In the Kuti Maharaj's Ananya Vishaya Matir Madhupate Sakrit Ratim Udvahatat Adhya Gangivegum Mudanvati. Let my mind, Memati, with attention fixed on no other object, Ananya Vishaya, repeatedly carry its affection for you. Asakrit Udvatat Ratim Twai. Rati means attraction. And Rati also means Bhava, Rati here means attraction. Chief of the Madhu dynasty, Madhupate. And here also the same metaphor is used. Just as the Ganga Iva carries the full stream of water, Udanvati Adhya, to the ocean, Ogam. So Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, in his commentary, mentions that the river holds nothing and nothing holds the river back. So here, Kunti Maharani is emphasizing that let my consciousness just flow towards your lotus feet. Let my love be only directed towards you and no other object in this world. And the explanation of Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is very interesting. He says that the river holds nothing. That means the river does not say, let me hold some water for myself. So it overflows naturally and spontaneously, not holding for itself anything towards the ocean. Who is free from all anarthas, he has no self-interest. He's completely selfless. This is one thing. And secondly, nothing holds the river back. So when the river is flowing, there can be many obstacles, like there can be rocks or there can be trees in between. But the river flow is so much, it is there with so much force that it will break through all obstacles and somehow reach the ocean. Similarly, a pure devotee, though there are so many obstacles, impediments on the path, his consciousness is so much fixed on the Lord that, nothing can hold him. Like Madhavendra Puri went to collect Chandan from Jagannath Puri, and there were so many obstacles on the path. But because his consciousness was absorbed in Krishna, he was able to overcome all those obstacles. So the metaphor of the river and the ocean can not mean merging, but meeting also. And the flow aspect is the flow of consciousness or the flow of the mind towards the Supreme Soul. So these two verses are relevant. So that is an additional concept which I had to discuss. So let's go to the last theme, which is not last two themes. These two paragraphs speaks about the theme here. So separate interests cause shoka and moha. Paragraph 4. Okay, paragraph 4 is separate interests cause shoka and moha, and 5 and 6 is becoming one with interest, becoming one in interest with God. So let us go to paragraph 4 now. Okay, paragraph 4. Already Prabhupada has hinted here, this is the highest platform of spiritual interest. And when one realizes this, there is no question of shoka and moha. Now he elaborates why there is shoka and moha. Who will read paragraph 4? Yes, Rajeshwari Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Unmuted.
Yeah, thank you. A godless
Yes.
civilization arises from illusion, and the result of such a civilization is lamentation. A godless civilization, such as that sponsored by the modern politician, is always full of anxieties because it may be crushed at any moment. That is the law of the nature. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7.14, no one but those who surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord can surpass the stringent law of nature. Thus, if we wish to get rid of all sorts of illusion and anxiety and create unity out of all diverse interests, we must bring God into all our activities.
So the godless civilization is where God is not in our activities. And that brings moha and shoka. And Prabhupada is quoting 7.14 to bring out the point that Devi Ishagunamai Mama Maya Duratya Mameva Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantati. So ultimately, Arjuna surrenders to the will of Krishna. What was the will of Krishna? The will of Krishna was his desire that he wanted this battle of Kurukshetra to happen. Arjuna did not have a desire to fight with his relatives, but he became one with the desire of the Lord by surrender. And only by this, you can become free from shoka and moha. So the Bhagavad Gita first chapter begins with Arjuna, the Vishada Yoga, lamentation. He goes into lamentation. And after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, when he surrenders completely, he says, Nashta moho smritir labdva tvat prasadat maya chitam karishye vachanam tava. Whatever you want, I will do. Karishye vachanam tava. Nashta moho smriti labdva. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his commentary to this verse, Nashta moha, my illusion is gone. Smriti labdva, he says that I have revived my memory that I am spirit soul, part and parcel of you. And my duty is to be in one with your desire. And your desire is now to fight this battle. So I will do that. Karishya vachanam tam. So only when we become one with the desire of the Lord, then shoka and moha is completely eradicated. So that's the point in this paragraph. So paragraphs 5 and 6 speak about paragraphs 5 and 6 speak this important thing, becoming one in interest with God. So this is the conclusion, Prabhupada. Separate interest creates shoka and moha. So then Prabhupada says, become one in interest with God. So that's in paragraph 5 and 6. So who will read paragraph 5 and 6? Any volunteers? Yes, Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. The results of our activities must be used to serve the interest of the Lord and not for any other purpose. Only by serving the Lord's interest can we perceive the Atma Bhuta interest mentioned herein. The Atma Bhuta interest mentioned in this mantra and the Brahma Bhuta, Srimad Bhagavatam 4.30.20 interest mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 18.54 are one and the same. The supreme Atma or soul is the Lord himself and the minute Atma is a living entity. The supreme Atma or Paramatma alone maintains all the individual minute beings, for the Supreme Lord wants to derive pleasure out of their affection. The Father extends himself to his children and maintains them in order to derive pleasure. If the children obey the Father's will, the Father's affair will run smoothly with one interest and a pleasing atmosphere. The same situation is transcendentally arranged in the absolute family of Parabrahman, the Supreme Spirit.
Continue. Continue the next paragraph also. Yes, Latamatuji, you can read the paragraph.
Yes. The Parabrahman is as much a person as the individual entities. Neither the Lord nor the living entities are impersonal. Such transcendental personalities are full of transcendental bliss, knowledge, and life eternal. That is a real position of a spiritual existence. And as soon as one is fully cognizant of this transcendental position, he at once surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Being, Sri Krishna. But such a Mahatma or a great soul is very rarely seen because such transcendental realization is achieved only after many, many births. Once it is attained, however, there is no longer any illusion or lamentation. There are no miseries of material existence and there are no birth and death, which are all experienced in our present life. That is the information we get from this mantra of Sri Isopanisad.
So here in these two paragraphs, Prabhupada concludes by mentioning that we should become one with the interest of Lord. So all our activities must be used in the interest of the Lord and not for any other purpose. Yagyato karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartha karma konteha mukta sangha samachara. This is the beginning of devotion. We do everything for the pleasure of Yagya, for the pleasure of Vishnu, Yagya Vaya Vishnu. And then when we do like this, then we come to this Atma Bhuta interest or the Brahma. Atma Bhuta and Brahma Bhuta is the same. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na suchati na kamshati. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labate param. So the supreme Atma or soul is the Lord himself, and the minute Atma is the living entity. So both, there is Atma and the Parama Atma. And the Lord has expanded himself, Eko Bhausyam. Why? To increase, pleasure. So Prabhupada, in one of his conversations, mentions that why a person gets married, because he wants to enjoy. Because enjoyment means there has to be two. So he gets married. And then further to enjoy, he expands in the form of children. And the more the family is, so the more he can derive pleasure. To his and maintains them in order to derive pleasure. But in the material world, children don't give us pleasure. They give us a lot of misery, and the parents know it. So, but from a family, when all are in one with the interest of the Lord, then there is that same experience on the transcendental platform where there is a spiritual family, the Paraman, where everyone is one with the interest of the Lord. So that's why in the spiritual world, there is no brahmachari ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and sannyas ashram. There is only grahastha ashram there, because everyone lives in the family life there. But everyone is one in interest with the Lord. And Prabhupada mentions that this state is achieved when one surrenders to the Lord. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sahamatma sudurlabha. So here also there is another important theme. It is mentioned ekatvam anupashyata means one who sees through authority, or one who sees constantly like that. So dukkha doshanu darshanam. Anudarshanam means to continuously see. Pashyati means also to see, and darshanam means to see systematically from Shastra Chakshu. And this word also come in the previous verse. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmannevanu pashyati. Also it had come of systematic way. So now, with respect to this anupashyati, based on this purport, where Prabhupada has spoken about it, we have a very important theme to discuss. Here you can see in this chart, there is an object which is material, and the vision is material. And the consequence is what? It causes bondage. People get attracted to sense objects. A male is attracted to a female because of attraction, and the male thinks this female is the object of my enjoyment, the female thinks this is the object of my maintenance, and they come together based on sensual attraction, and it causes bondage. And in Bhagavatam, the verse is there, Pumsasrim Maituna. Now, there is the object which is material, but the vision is spiritual. The vision is spiritual. This leads to purification. Utility is a principle. Now, Srila Prabhupada seeing the flatbed truck for Rath Yatra. You remember this famous pastime that Prabhupada was walking in the corridor, and from the window he saw a flatbed truck. And Prabhupada asked his disciple about the truck. The disciple was wondering, why is Prabhupada inquiring about this truck? What it has to do with spiritual activity. So Prabhupada was seeing the energy as non-different from the energetic, and seeing how the energy can be used in the service of the energetic. So the object can be material, but when the vision is spiritual, then it leads to purification. But when the object is spiritual, just like the deity, although it is made of material elements, but when the Lord comes and resides, it's completely spiritual. But when the vision is material, it leads to offense. Idolatry vision of Jewish rabbis. And the object is spiritual. When the vision is also spiritual, it leads to purification for neophytes and ecstasy for advance. That is deity worship or Vaishnavas. So, Anupashyati is, we discussed this energy and energetic. And systematically seeing means seeing from Shastra perspective. So these are the four different ways we can see, and we should be, the second one and the fourth one is what is the systematic way of seeing through Shastra. Now, for the neophyte, when the altar opens, he offers Dandavat because, that is the rule. But for an advanced devotee who is in love with Krishna, he sees that it is his worshipable Lord Krishna. He doesn't see it as a deity. He sees Sakshat Vrajendra Nandan. And out of ecstasy, he falls and offers Dandavat. So that is the difference between a neophyte taking darshan of the deity and an advanced devotee taking darshan of the deity. He sees it as completely spiritual. So, Anupashyati, these are the four different permutations and combinations, and one should follow the second and the fourth one and avoid the first and the third one. Any questions on that? Yes, Rajeshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, just wanted to know that how this I am in interest with Lord. Like my interest is in Lord's interest. So when we follow the four regulative principles or whatever commitments we have kept while taking a vow of initiation, that comes in it. But how do I understand that I am actually in interest with? Because there's so many times we wish and desire so many things which is in my interest.
Correct.
So you understood my.
Yes, I understood. So generally in the beginning stages of our spiritual life, one gradually goes to this higher and higher of levels of becoming one in interest with the Lord. At the beginning levels, we have to follow the rules and regulations of Shastra, which is given in the Shastra and given by the spiritual masters. So in that sense, by following, we are at that one level where we are one in interest with the Lord. Slowly, as we advance, we come to understand higher levels of being one with interest with the Lord means to be one in interest with the mission of the spiritual master. And the mission of the spiritual master, Prabhupada makes it clear in his purports. And also the initiating guru whom we are connected to, he is also fulfilling the mission of the founder Acharya, and he is one in that, in fulfilling the desire of Prabhupada. And when we help him in fulfilling the desire of the founder Acharya and work in that interest exclusively, then slowly we can come to this higher level of being one in interest with the Lord. So one with interest of the Lord also means one with interest of the desire of the spiritual master. At the beginning stages, it is following the rules and regulations. Is it clear, Mataji? Yes. Any other questions? Okay, so we have completed mantra 7 today. Tomorrow we will take up mantra 8 and finish. That will finish the second theme of Isopanishads. And then we will go to the next theme of the Isopanishads in the next week. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji,